Welcome to InsectX, Information Security Technologies training on penetration testing with Metasploit. In the past few videos, we have been discussing much more about this is vulnerability scanning, report generation, automation of exploit based on the report generation kind of stuff. And the last video in this Metasploit framework architecture is in discussion about the MSF interfaces. MSF means Metasploit Framework. So, in order to deal with the framework, or else in order to use the framework, there are a wide variety of interfaces which are related to both the console based as well as the graphical user interface based. So, in most of our cases, we will be using only the console, CLI, and the Armitage. So, now let's keep on working with this console service, command line interface, as well as the Armitage. Open up terminal. Now please start services. Service PostgreSQL start, which will start the PostgreSQL service. Service Metasploit start, which starts the Metasploit service. Let's take an example here. Let me use Windows XP2 operating system as a victim operating system, where I will be exploiting the target vulnerability directly by using the Metasploit Framework console. Even the same thing can be done by using both the MSF CLI, MSF GUI, MSF Web, even by using the Armitage. The only main difference here is the type of interface which you have been using for exploiting the target vulnerability. That's it, nothing more than that. So now get the IP of this machine. Issue the command IP config. So the IP here is 192.168.159.132. Now let us start MSF console, which will start the framework console. Takes few seconds for loading up. Let's wait for it. So the framework has been loaded, and now what we will do is we shall exploit the Windows XP box using the Net API vulnerability which is being existed on the target machine. Let's do that. Search Net API, and this is the exploit path, and supply the options. Set our host, that is the XP box IP address 192.168.159.132, and we can also set the payload. Even without assigning the payload also, we can exploit the machine. Let's do this without keeping the payload option. Finally, we got the Metasploit session which has been opened on the which machine? This particular IP, that is on the victim machine. That means this particular machine is under the control of the attacker. Now, in the next video, what we will do is we shall perform the same operation using the MSF CLI, that is Metasploit Framework command line interface. Okay, thanks for watching.
Hello, welcome to InsectX, Information Security Technologies training on penetration testing with Metasploit. In the previous video, we have gone through the complete overview on Metasploit Framework and its complete internals. In this series, we will be covering in detail about the Meterpreter. Meterpreter. Meterpreter, often called as the default go-to payload for the Windows operating system. This can be leveraged as a payload after exploitation. Meterpreter can be considered as a post-exploitation tool. Best part of the Meterpreter is it doesn't create a new process, and moreover, it completely resides in the memory. So there is no chance of getting detection, and it doesn't write any data to the disk. All the communication which is been carried out between the attacker and the victim machine, it will be completely encrypted. It creates a separate channel to encrypt the data whenever the data transmission is held between the attacker and the victim machine. This particular meterpreter contains bunch of options to ease our post exploitation. We can gain full control over the victim machine, and even it's possible to extend the DLLs during the runtime. That's all for this course introduction video on the Meterpreter. In the next video, we will perform basic exploration over the victim machine, and we shall discuss in detail about the Meterpreter. Thanks for watching. Hello, welcome to InsectX. Information Security Technology is training on penetration testing. Hello, welcome to InsectX. Information Security Technology is training on penetration testing with Metasploit. In the last video, we have covered the basic introduction to the meterpreter, and in this video, we are basically going to cover how the meterpreter shell goes under the three different stages. Okay, there are few steps involved in connection establishment between attacker machine and the victim machine. This is the thing, the three stages. Coming to the first stage, during the stage 1, exploit and payload is sent to the victim machine. During this time, if both the exploit and payload gets executed, attacker machine establishes a reverse connection back to the framework machine where our Metasploit Framework console is often on running. After this, during the stage 2, attacker machine will send a stage 2 payload which basically contains DLL injection, and this directly injects into the victim machine. The stage 2 payload will get executed and runs meterpreter DLL from the attacker machine directly into the memory of the victim machine. And finally in the last stage, okay, in this last stage, connection establishment is finally taken place between the attacker machine and the victim machine with a full-fledged session. Okay, and one of the best part of the meterpreter is it doesn't create any kind of a new process, and moreover it completely resides in the memory, so there is no chance of getting detection, and moreover it doesn't write any kind of data to the disk. Okay, it doesn't create any kind of files over the target victim machine, and whatever the communication which is held between the attacker machine and the victim machine will be completely encrypted. It creates a separate channel to encrypt the data. Whenever the data transmission is taking place between the attacker machine and the victim machine, it will be purely encrypted. So now what we will do is we shall take an example. I will be having my Kali Linux as the attacker machine running with the Metasploit Framework console, and using that we shall try to exploit the remote vulnerability which is running on the Windows box, that is on the Windows XP machine. So let me choose the exploit, use exploit Windows SMB MS08 061 underscore net API, and we are going to encrypt the data. Whenever the data transmission is taking place between the attacker machine and the victim machine, it payload Windows meter printer reverse will be having my Kali Linux as the attacker machine running with the Metasploit Framework console, and here we need to supply the options. Okay, so the options include the remote host, that is the victim's, that is on the Windows XP machine. 92.168.159.132